every nominee actually on that committee and this one, is whether or not the nominee has ever litigated against a religious liberty claim. Usually the answer to that's no. In your case, you answered yes, and you listed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different cases over a period of years, actually, in which you have litigated against individuals or churches' religious liberty claims. So let's just talk about a few of those, if we could. Let's start with some of your work during COVID. Case you list here, Capitol Hill Baptist Church versus Bowser. Do you remember that case?
Yes, Senator.
You remember working on that case?
Yes, Senator.
This was a case involving the district's lockdown policies that shut down churches in the district. Is that correct?
It concerned litigation over provision of the lockdown policies. The policies restricted all types of activity in the district.
All types of activity in the district?
Yes, Senator.
Did it restrict mass protests in the district?
Well, it restricted activities that one normally expected, including work, going to stores. It also did include these provisions that were challenged concerning churches.
So it exempted unusual or unlikely activities that's in the statute, that's in the ordinance?
When the mayor was enacting these orders at the outset of the pandemic, I think she was trying to be as comprehensive as she could, and the order did restrict a number of daily activities of district residents.
But it exempted mass protests?
Today we're diving into a fiery Senate hearing where Senator Josh Hawley goes head-to-head with one of President Biden's nominees. This intense exchange sheds light on how decisions during the pandemic impacted religious liberty and why it still matters today. Stay tuned because this one gets heated fast. Let's set the stage. During the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, strict lockdown measures were imposed to curb the virus's spread. While everyone felt the weight of these restrictions, religious communities claimed they were unfairly targeted. Enter Capitol Hill Baptist Church, which found itself in a legal battle against the city for the right to hold socially distanced outdoor services.
Said anything one way or another.
Can you point me to the text where it exempted mass protests?
I don't believe it said anything one way or another.
Of course it didn't, because it didn't exempt mass protests, right? You know that.
I think it was silent on the issue because I don't believe it was contemplated by the mayor's office.
Ah, so you think that mass protests should be in a different category than religious observances? Is that your position?
I think if there were protests on the book, then the mayor might have thought about that when she was enacting the COVID-19 restrictions. But I think she was trying to protect public health.
So you think it's fine to say to religious people that they are prohibited from gathering outside, wearing a mask, socially distanced. They can't do it. But if you want to come and protest, defund the police, if you want to support that, that's fine. You can gather en masse, person to person, close up, thousands of people. That's okay. That discrimination's okay. That is your position?
Senator, that is not my position.
It was your position. It's what you argued.
I did not write these orders. What I said.
You defended it in court. And you just articulated to me what I take to be your position.
What I was doing in the Capitol Hill Baptist Church was defending the mayor, my client, against a constitutional challenge to one aspect of the COVID-19 restrictions. We understood that strict scrutiny applies.
How did that case go for you?
We lost that case.
Why?
It was found that the restrictions did not meet the standard of strict scrutiny.
Meaning they were unconstitutional.
Meaning that they did not survive strict scrutiny, and it's a matter of public record that the District of Columbia did not appeal that decision.
Why? Why were they struck down?
Excuse me, Senator?
Why were the restrictions that you defended struck down as discriminatory? Why were they?
Because they did not satisfy.
Why didn't they?
The court concluded that there were restrictions that were not neutral of general applicability.
Yeah. That's legalese. Why didn't they? Why didn't they on the facts? You know the facts. You were a good lawyer. Why'd you lose?
We lost because applying the strict scrutiny test, the court concluded that the restrictions were not narrowly tailored to serve a compelling governmental interest.
Because?
Senator.
Oh, come on, Judge. Don't make me do this. Do you want me to go through it for you? You lost because Mayor Bowser was going to mass protests herself personally with thousands of people celebrating them. By the way, which is fine. We have the First Amendment in the United States. I want to be clear. That is totally fine. You want to protest? Go for it. I think that's totally fine. That wasn't the problem here. At the same time she was doing that, she was prohibiting churches, religious people, from gathering socially distanced outside wearing masks. And the district court said, you can't do that. That's discrimination. You can't separate people out based on their ideological beliefs or their positions. You can't do that, right? Isn't that what the district court said?
And guess who defended the restrictions in court? That's right, the very nominee facing Senator Hawley today. Senator Hawley didn't hold back, pressing the nominee on why the lockdown policies seemed to favor mass protests while restricting religious gatherings. Hawley's sharp question: why was it okay for thousands to protest in the streets but churches were shut down? The nominee tried to defend the actions, citing public health concerns and scientific advice. But Hawley wasn't buying it. He fired back with one of his most pointed accusations. Why did you argue that religious people pose a greater risk of infection than protesters? Hawley didn't stop there. He reminded the nominee in the room that the district court found the restrictions discriminatory. Even more damning, the mayor herself had attended mass protests while keeping churches closed. Hawley drove the point home. You can't separate people based on their beliefs. That's discrimination, plain and simple. The nominee's defense: they claimed they were just representing their client, the mayor, and following epidemiologists' advice. But Hawley wasn't letting up. He called out the lack of scientific evidence presented in court and questioned why such weak arguments were made in the first place. By the end of the exchange, Hawley made it clear, "I'm disappointed in your arguments and I won't support your nomination." It was a decisive statement that underscored the stakes of this debate. This hearing wasn't just about a nominee. It was about the balance between public health and fundamental rights. Senator Hawley's grilling reminds us of the power of accountability and why the fight for religious liberty is far from over. Catch you next time.